Emily posted that Faith RX is having a meeting. I don't know what that is, but that sounds like it's a good time. Ended up going there. Been a member of that ever since. Once I started being a member there, I actually stopped drinking. I've been 2 years sober now. So like just sober from all like kind of things. I still have like my, started to get a little bit too much of the coffee, but it's a little bit better for you. So I think how I got here, like being here in this spot in Nashville, Tennessee, is a big, long story. So I'm originally from Wichita, Kansas, and grew up in a house where we didn't really, we tried the church thing here and there, and it's like my parents were getting along. They were doing it just because it was like one of those things we got to get the boys in church, and me and my brothers never had a good experience. It was always just and also our grandma was super legalistic and wouldn't even let us watch fun stuff like Power Rangers and that kind of thing. Just all violence is from the devil. I'm like, but they're superheroes. Anyways, but that's all long. Around the age of 11, I met my godparents through my best friend. We were just hanging out, and all of a sudden we're hanging out all the time. And I'm always at his house. And so I kind of have to introduce the Hendersons into my life so you guys understand how I ended up here. They're originally from here, and so we're all in Kansas. Go through all through high school. After high school, go a couple years in college. After those couple years of college, me and Matt end up moving into an apartment together. And after his sister graduated from high school, they all moved out here back to Nashville because this is where they're from. And me and him stayed back in Kansas. During that time, I got into a lot of not so great things. If you want to go in detail about it, but a lot of drugs, alcohol, this person, that person, and this. And I was heading down a road of being very stagnant and this is it. This is just what life is. It's not fun, but this is just what you do. Fast forward a couple years into doing all that mess, end up getting a DUI, and then there's all these other things you gotta do with that, money and all that, and I don't have that kind of money. Matt comes here to Nashville to visit for something, and I guess he expresses to his family this is what's happening to Lex and that kind of thing because they want to know. And when he comes back, he hands me an envelope, and he's like, don't ask questions, just use it. In that envelope was $8,000 to pay for all my court fees, all this and that and the other. And that is the biggest gesture of kindness I've ever gotten from anybody. And that moment kind of changed the trajectory of where I was going for a little bit. So fast forward about a year or so, we're still kind of doing the not so great things. I find myself to kind of be real, laying on the couch, high on acid, and I was like, I have to stop. It's something told me this is not right. We got to change. So a couple days go by, and Matt's parents come to visit, and usually they come to visit and they're hanging out in the house, and it's and they're like, oh, how are things going? I'm like, oh, everything's good, that kind of stuff. But this time, Maggie, my godmom, sits next to me. She goes, how are things going? And I just told her everything. I told her what we've been getting into, all this, that, and the other. I'm like, I have to get a change. Something has to change. And so she goes, well, what? And I'm like, I got to move. I got to get out of here because I'm not. This is a toxic environment. I can't be here. And She's like, well, where do you want to move to? I started spouting off stuff like, I don't know, Maine, like Alaska, just ridiculous places. She's like, well, those are all fine, well, good. Maybe you should go someplace that you know people, like, I don't know, Nashville. And after she said that, like, kind of like, maybe I should. Fast forward, March 23rd, 2015 comes around, and I just pack up my bags, and I say, Matt, I'm going to Nashville. Are you coming? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we both just packed the whole house. His dad shows up like 18 hours later with like a U-Haul from Nashville, like drives all the way here. We load up the U-Haul, and we're out. And show up in Nashville, and through all these turn events and whatnot, his sister ends up getting married to her husband. His cousin is a pastor of a church, and he was the one that married him, so I met him through that. After being here for about 6 months or so, started getting an urge, and like, that I need to start going to church. Start off at Ethos, and that at Ethos Church, and after I started going there for a little bit, I started CrossFit. And then, start falling in love with CrossFit when you first start. It's like, it is so great. And when you're first like getting more serious about getting in touch with Jesus, like, it's like good things, it's like elevating together. And it's like, I need to do both of these. I want to like take one focus away from the other just to kind of focus on one. There's a Facebook group that I'm a part of for like the Tennessee area that Emily posted that Faith RX is having a meeting. I don't know what that is, but that sounds like it's a good time. End up going there. Been a member of that ever since. Once I started being a member there, I actually stopped drinking. I've been 2 years sober now. So like just sober from all like kind of things. I still have like my, starting to get a little bit too much of the coffee, but it's a little bit better for you. And through that and interacting with them and then getting more involved with the church and like learning more about what's good about this life has brought me here to ISI. And now I don't think this is going to be my last one, obviously. I hope it's going to be like the first of many. But I feel as though this is the start of something big, something great. And I'm excited. Basically, God had to take me just like he does. Some people have to hit like a different low and whatever, but like I was in like the nastiest part of my nasty. And he had to basically pick me up, put me in like the Bible belt of the belt buckle of the Bible belt, and he's like, this is how my people, I want you to that I want my people to live. Yes, there's still people that just kind of do the Sunday thing because it's Sunday, but then there's people that are in it for something bigger, and I needed to see that. So
what was it that what shifted about being in the Faith RX community that led you to be like, I'm done, like I'm gonna get sober, I'm not gonna do this anymore? Was it the community? Was it like just experiencing God's word? Like what were those?
I think it was a little bit of, I think most of the community. Through that time I did go through in a relationship that kind of went south, and that relationship was toxic due to drinking and whatnot, and being around Emily, Megan, Jennifer, Jeremy, and all them, and they knew about all the nasty that was happening and whatnot, and how I needed to get out of it. And so through that, they're like, it's like as that relationship was fizzling out, a new relationship was building in Christ. They're getting a little bit closer. So I didn't want any distractions from that, and those addictions that distract your mind and your body from that. So I just cut it out cold turkey. I can't. So through that, I sleep better, so that's a positive. And just being able to understand and process things more in my brain instead of just letting it just go in one ear and out the other, which it used to be a lot.
So what do you see in the future, and what's next for you? And as you're growing, as your relationship is developing, or however you want to take that, What's next?
Next, I am actually part of a little on-ramp group to start a church in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. So we're kind of slowly building a community there and trying to bring more of what I learned through Faith RX to them, because they're still young and everyone is kind of like we started around the New Year, so people are still dabbling into like fitness stuff, the New Year resolutions and things. So being able to just like kind of relate struggles with like you end up doing within fitness stuff, whether it's like, you know, whatever thing you're doing wise, and understand like there's still going to be troubles here, but the Bible tells us that we're still going to be strong here, and we can still push through that with the grace of God. And the great analogy that Spencer had with the yo-yo, that busted me up. I'm going to use that.
Can you explain the yo-yo?
So with the yo-yo, so as you go up and down with the yo-yo, like you are the yo-yo, and you're connected by the string, and the yo-yo is being held by God. So as the yo-yo goes down, sometimes you hit lows, but that you always then you come up back up. So there's times you're going to be real close in his hands, and there's times you're maybe going to be a little bit distant. But knowing that he still has you, and that whole time God is going upstairs the whole time, just is like what? Understanding that, yeah, I'm maybe still at this low, but that's nowhere near as deep as like 5 steps was, you know, and like that's a whole new perspective on life, really. And so we're gonna roll with that, and we're gonna try to hold on to that image as much as possible.